Welcome to Absolutely Marvel and DC. My name is Benny, that is Sal, and today we're going to be doing an analysis and recap of WandaVision Episode 8. Little quick housekeeping note for everyone who's watching this particular episode. Sal and I plan on being more on point with Falcon and Winter Soldier. Right now, this channel's still kind of getting launched, so we're a little behind schedule on the WandaVision. We're going to finish out WandaVision this way. But let's go ahead and start it off. Sal, what do you think about Episode 8? What did you...
I am the kind of person who likes watching people talk, so I was happy with this episode, but I within the first 2 minutes, I was like, oh, this is going to be an exposition dump, isn't it? Like, this is just going to be, Wanda Maximoff, this is your life. Let's contextualize, recontextualize, and perhaps even retcon your entire history in about 40 minutes or less.
I really did enjoy this episode. But at the same time, you're right. As soon as I started going into her history, I'm like, oh, so what we've been asking for since episode 1, which is kind of an explanation as to what's actually going, they're going to do a whole episode on it. This is going to be the explanation episode. You're going to explain what's been retconned with Wanda, what her powers are, how she's going to now incorporate it into the MCU, what's actually going on. It's all going to be revealed. I was very disappointed when the episode ended the way it did.
Me too.
Where it just cut off, and I was like, no, you just explained it all.
Yeah. But they knew that. That's how they got you. They had you. They're like, you've been watching these two people talk for the last 35 minutes. Well, how about what? Oh, see you next week.
Yeah, so let's start there then. What did you how did you feel about the retcons? And for those who don't know, Scarlet Witch is an interesting history. In the comic, so I will condense this as small as I can make it.
Please do, yes.
Scarlet Witch is technically a mutant in the Marvel comics. Mutant is a word that the MCU was not allowed to use. So in order to use, I don't know why they chose to, but they wanted to use Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, they had to not call them mutants. Instead, when they were first introduced in the Age of Ultron, they had to use the Mind Stone, or I think it was the Mind Stone, or one of the stones.
It was the Mind Stone, yep.
To alter them and make them miracles is what they called them.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They proceeded to move forward. Her powers remain mostly undefined as wiggle the fingers red stuff. Well, Quicksilver was fast, but not fast enough to outrun a bullet.
Right. Or 10.
Or 10. Following that, she had a relationship with Vision that was mostly off screen. We didn't really see much about it. It was kind of like they treated Vision and Wanda almost like they do the Hulk, where it's like, the Hulk turned into a smart guy when you weren't looking.
Right?
Did you blink?
Yeah. Yep, that happened.
I still hate that happened.
We got a couple of references. You know, like in Age of Ultron, he held her, and then in Civil War, he familiarly entered her room and she scolded him.
Which I do want to make a quick comment on that. I do like that they tied into what she was scolding him on back then. That was a fun callback. I liked that.
Yeah, total fun callback. And then, of course, Infinity War, they have like an apartment together and they're on the run or whatever. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but of all the things in the MCU that I dislike how it was handled, it was Wanda and Vision, where it was like, okay, we want the Synthoid and the Witch Girl to be together, but we don't want to explain anything. So
right, we don't want to lose these audience members. Like we got to explain. We know that they're together in the comics. We know that people will buy it because it's Paul Bettany and he's got endless charisma. But like, we don't want to leave it on the screen too long for people to go, wait a minute, isn't he a robot?
Yeah, exactly. So that's how it's been up to this point, and they just kind of left it open. Now, since, and I'm assuming there's been some actual retcons that we're probably going to hear about in episode 9, but since the time of the pandemic, Fox and everybody went through. Fox had the rights to the mutants. They sold everything to Disney. Disney now has all of the X-Men, all of the Fantastic Four, and everything. So now that they have the full rights to Wanda and Quicksilver, and technically mutants, even though they right now have not said it,
right?
They have now retconned her origins. So instead of being a miracle, she's always had probability magic.
Right. She had access to magic, and she didn't have to learn it to use it like an expert, which is par for the course in the modern Scarlet Witch history in terms of her being able to like have a mutant ability to access magic and use it like she were a sorcerer. So That's what got Agatha's attention and
Right.
caused her to be interested.
And it looks like they're going to use the Mind Stone from her history to unlock her powers, much how Cthulhu unlocked all of her potential when he took over her body in the comics. We're basically, we're not doing the Elder God, we're doing Mind Stone did it.
Right. Which, fine. I guess having a Lovecraftian Elder God invade the body of your titular character, who is also one of the Olsen twins' sisters, it would probably lose a few people, or at least confuse them enough to not keep them watching for Falcon Winter Soldier. So, all right, fine. She saw a future version of herself or whatever. I don't know.
Well, and that was wicked awesome. I don't know if you the future. Did you see the people they brought the contrast up, and you can see the costume looks amazing. Dylan or Dan, whoever edits this one, should be putting it on the screen right about now. Looks incredible. I love the way
They showed you the costume in like the teaser images where she's got some TVs in front of her and you can see like snapshots of the costume, and they've lined up those snapshots with the high contrast images from the Mind Stone. So it's like they always were planning on giving her a costume, giving her a name. Last episode 7, I think, they gave her official name, or at least
it was at the end of
her.
8. It was at the end of 8.
Was the end of this one where she said like, "You're the Scarlet Witch," and we're like,
right, because at the end of the recap, Agatha gets up, and now Agatha looks like a witch.
Yes.
And she's like, "You are the Scarlet Witch." And that was the name drop cliffhanger. Like, what?
Yep. Yeah. What? And then in the mid credits, what?
Yeah, and then the mid credits, which is another thing to give an analysis on. I also feel like they're taking the White Vision storyline, which we've already covered here on Absolutely Marvel and DC, but I'll give you a 2-second recap. In the comic books, Vision went insane. They disassembled him. He lost his soul, lost his personality, became White Vision. He went on like a 3-year journey of being this soulless, emotionless robot until he eventually ran into an alternate version of himself from an alternate timeline, took over the body, and remerged his mind waves as someone else and became Vision again. So alternate reality Vision creates Vision. I feel like this new White Vision from the
That's a good plot point.
is gonna merge with this one that she created. Like,
yeah, we'll get it's actually kind of fun because this version that she created is obviously much more emotional than the one that pre-existed, the one that was destroyed by Thanos. So that was fun. It gives Paul Bettany an opportunity to act and be charismatic and play up the character, while also not having to explain like how he managed to do all that. So we then established that the real Vision lacks his humanity and his soul, or whatever you want to call it, and so he's going to be much more stoic and emotional. And when you merge them together, you're going to have some marriage between first Vision and like overly emotional Vision to get character Vision. I don't know. It's just funny that we're going to get like, we have to go through 2 different hoops to get to where we could have been in the first place, but I'm excited nonetheless. I like that, and it's a callback. How long could you milk the White Vision angle? Like, how many movies would you throw him into? Probably 1, and that's not enough. So
White Vision angle wasn't even done that long in the comics. It was not even. No. It's more of a footnote in Vision's history. It's just
long enough.
Yeah, but the costume
long enough
so
to
cool.
be. Yes, it is a cool it's very minimal, but he was allowed long enough to be a playable character in the Captain America arcade game, or the Avengers arcade game.
I remember when I was a kid, that Avengers arcade game, picking Vision and just being very confused because I knew who Vision was supposed to look like. Because I mean, I think when I played it, it would have been like late '90s, so that he was already back to normal in comics.
Oh yeah, I had an old Avengers comic where Doctor Doom takes over Avengers Mansion, and in that one, I think Vision's white. So I had a frame of reference because I never read any other Avengers comics except like ones I would get or ones that I would find, and otherwise, I kind of drew from that one issue, and in that one issue, he is the White Vision. So for me, I'm like, oh, it's White Vision, right? That's what he's always been. Like when you said he's only been around for 3 years, I was like, really? It was only 3 years?
We just did extra research, but I'm pretty sure it was 91 to like 94, and that was it.
Right. But for my reference, it's like he probably had like a 10-year stint where he was white. It's like, nah.
I mean, it might be incorrect on that. We didn't go deep diving into the length of his stint.
I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure that there is some. I'm sure I'm, misremembering. But either way, I did not remember it that way.
Let's talk about that theory real quick. Do you think that Vision's going to hang around now? Because remember, we kept saying everyone's like, "Oh, he can't be around. They don't mention him in Spider-Man." Like, you could just walk away. Like he doesn't have. Yeah. No one has to know he's around.
No. No, I hope so. I genuinely do, because the other thing is, if you want to pull on the thread of the Spider-Man thing, they're like, hey, are you leading the Avengers? What's going to happen with the Avengers? As far as the general populace knows, there are no Avengers.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, they don't even exist.
So
at this point.
there should be at least some frame of reference. Like, what about Vision? That's one point of order. But for the other, it's like, I feel like, it's easy to have Wanda be like sad and have Vision be like, you have to let me go. The woman's been through enough. Well, because it's going to be sad. It's going to be like the end of, whatever movie has vampires in it, where the vampire is good and then he has to look in the sun. But
is it Twilight?
It's any movie. Oh, I think there's a Blade movie where one of them.
Oh yeah, there is a Blade movie where that happens. Yeah.
When that happens. But I was thinking of 30 Days of Night, though, and he screams bloody murder. It's if they play music over it. But in any case, I feel like the woman's been through enough, and he's a robot, so we can make excuses. You know what? Yes. Does she have to get over the trauma of her brother? Sure. Is it more fun to have Fox X-Men Quicksilver? Yeah. But she could still be sad or have him not be her brother. Whatever. But you could just rebuild the robot. You don't need for her to to let go of the robot. He's not even a person. Just build him.
Oh God, we're never gonna have an argument of robots' rights. So we'll move on from that one.
No,
you're starting Terminator, Sal. You're starting Terminator.
That's fair. Yeah.
Okay, well, so talk about her brother. Let's talk about that real quick, because Agatha went through quite a few things, and a lot of this, I don't feel like there was a ton of Easter eggs. There's a lot of callbacks. There was a lot of linking of things. There was a lot of fun in this episode. There was, the missile that they talked about showed up, and then, somehow her brother survived with her. We talked about probability magic. We saw all the sitcoms in the box. That was fun, too.
Yes. Very cool.
We got to see she apparently was the smartest of her family, because Pietro was kind of kind of a dumb kid.
Yep. Not surprising.
Yep. We got to see how she got touched by the stone. But none of these were direct crazy Easter eggs. But one thing was noted on that was interesting. I mean, other than the mention of chaos magic, so we officially define her powers. We officially have discovered that the stone gave her the powers. We officially discovered Agatha is a witch, but didn't start this, which is the thing we got to talk about. From what we've gathered, it doesn't look like it. What do you think they're going to do with fake Pietro? Because she established that is not him. Your brother's dead.
Right.
His body is still here.
Yeah, I don't know. I was, everybody was like, what? Including myself, including you, where it was when they dropped that, oh my God, he's got to be from the multiverse. He could still be from the multiverse. It could be. But she said he was fake. She said he created him, or at the very least, she said, she is integrally involved in his being here and him kind of but I did, I reread the post-credit scene from the previous episode a little differently after this episode.
That he's her eyes and ears, is what I believe she said.
She says she says that he's her eyes and ears, and there's that scene at the end when Monica's going to go in the basement and Quicksilver shows up and he's like, Snooper's got to snoop. We don't see him get her, but the implication is there. But what if he's I'm actually from another reality. Come on, let's go stop her.
That would be that's his. Hold on a second. They just cut him off from doing that explanation. By the way,
exactly.
I'm from a thing called the X-Men.
Yeah, exactly. These doors, they go to alternate realities. Who know? I don't know, but I think there's. I think that because they cast Evan Peters and the general collective mind blowings that took place as a result of that announcement. It made me think maybe they're not done with him. Maybe they're not done with this idea. I hope not.
I feel like this would be so much of a waste if he was just, I made a guy that looks like your brother.
Yes. Because he doesn't.
Because what you could easily do and still leave it as a fun thing that happened in the series, you just have to have an offhanded mention of I pulled him from the multiverse. That's all you need to say along those lines. This is your brother, but not your brother.
There's a Wanda from the X-Men universe too. She's just not a character. She's just sitting there. She's an extra. She's in the pictures and in the scenes.
She's a little
there's
kid.
a Wanda there.
Yeah, she's a little kid. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not twins in that reality, but yeah.
Well, all you have to do is something along those lines of like, he's a Pietro, not your Pietro. And they could leave it. Like, we don't need any more on it, because then we're all going to be like, what do you mean?
Yeah, and if it takes them 5 years to answer that question. Well, or because we know that Feige's like, we're not anywhere close to making an X-Men movie. So it's like, there's no point in really delving too much into mutants and X-Men, because they don't want to limit whatever they're going to do when they are ready to launch X-Men. So whatever they do end up doing, they can't like do too much. They can't go too deep, because otherwise it'll just like set them up for criticism and like hamstringing when they do launch the mutants.
I don't think they're even going to say mutants or anything. I might be completely wrong. We're talking about this.
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong. I hope they're going to be like, and you're a mutant, and this is your dad. It's Michael Fassbender. And we're going to be like, oh my God, what?
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for. All bets are off, but I don't think they're going to say it. I think we're just going to imply he's from somewhere else. I foresee them sending her powers out everywhere, because they implied how powerful she is. You're controlling people miles away. Like,
yep.
I think they're going to spread it out. I think it's going to get like, I think we're not going to say mutants, and I think it's going to be like almost Avengers Assemble.
Yeah.
It's going to be
that'll be their Avengers Assemble.
Someone in 10 years will be like, by the way, you're all mutants, and we're all going to be like, oh! They said the N-word.
Yeah.
Like they need another Avengers Assemble moment. They need the rallying cry from the audience, and I feel like mutants is going to be it. Like,
it could be. Yeah. There's too many spinning plates. Like, the fact that there's only one more episode is actually kind of like frustrating, because like, it's like you've got Darcy and Wu, you've got Quicksilver or fake Quicksilver and all the implications thereof. You've got Monica Rambeau, who has powers and is a superhero now.
Yeah. Yeah, Hayward. There's something going on with Hayward, because he straight is lying. We know that now, because he showed like he showed footage of like Wanda blowing up that didn't happen. He says that they're there for the vibranium. They're not. Like,
nope. Oh my God! Like there is so much else there. We have the Doctor Strange implication. We have the fact that like
aerospace engineer.
Where's that engineer? Where's the guy they talked about? That guy's not even in the show. And we also have the implication.
You know what I'm waiting for? This is how they're going to do the engineer. I got a theory for that real quick before you move forward.
Yeah.
They're not going to mention him. The post-credit scene on this last episode is going to be a guy walking forward going, did I miss everything? And it's going to be a name tag that says Richards, and that's it. That's good.
Right. Yeah. For me, the other thing that we could get, and it's too bad there's only one more episode, is, gee whiz, wouldn't it have been interesting if Ultron put his like original programming into the Vision body before he launched it? So it's like when it was reset, Ultron comes back, so we get James Spader's voice out of Paul Bettany's body. Like, because I saw a reference to that.
There's a theory that Hayward is Ultron.
Oh.
Incognito, he's Ultron.
Okay.
I don't know how much weight that theory has. I only saw it like a little bit before this, but like apparently that theory's been going around. The other theory is that maybe he's Nightmare, but every time someone says that's a nightmare or this, everybody, oh my God, they said Nightmare. Like,
is this Mephisto?
Yeah.
I also saw a theory or a reference to the fact that like when we see White Vision, he looks at his left arm and kind of smiles. And if you go back to Age of Ultron, which they've been trying to get you to watch, because every time the show's over, they're like, Age of Ultron? And it's like, no, for the umpteenth time, I'm not going to watch Age of Ultron again. I'm done. But like, Ultron's last body has no left arm. So he's like, oh, I'm back.
So maybe Ultron is coming back. Maybe one of the best villains in the Marvel Universe is getting reborn instead of getting decimated in his one movie.
Yeah, like all the other ones were during his phase.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but if I feel like that's a lot. There's a lot of stuff that you would be setting up and maybe not paying off, or maybe setting up for someone else to have to pay off. It's a lot to wrap up in 43 minutes.
It is. There's a lot set up, and this is supposed to be standalone, but yes, tied into Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. But I don't see like Monica Rambeau showing up in Spider-Man or Doctor Strange. I don't see a Hayward reference popping up in Spider-Man or Doctor Strange. I don't see Vision or like you're right. There's a lot of plates spinning here, and I don't know how they're going to wrap it all up in 40 minutes. And it also looks like they're setting up for the big CGI superhero finale.
Right?
Because like they're literally ready to fight. So you're going to put the fight in there, and you're going to wrap up all these plot threads, and you're going to answer things. At least to a point where anybody who watches only WandaVision is going to feel satisfied. Because they're not just going to leave it on a giant cliffhanger and be like, hope you watch the rest of the Marvel stuff.
Because that would be so frustrating. It would be so unsatisfying as a show for it to be a commercial for the next movie.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's my complaint with Amazing Spider-Man 2, with the original pitch for the Zack Snyder's Justice League. All of these things. Is that I don't want to watch a commercial for other things. That was my argument with Infinite Frontier, the comic that just came out. I'm not a huge fan of just a commercial for other things. So if the conclusion to this is, you better go watch the rest of it, I'm not going to be a happy guy at all. But I don't think a lot of people will at all. I don't think that's going to be a popular opinion at all.
No, and we could still get a Doctor Strange cameo. So it's like him showing up will only make it even more complicated, which I still want, but like it could draw away from the fact that the show is called WandaVision. It's about these two characters.
At this point, if we do get Doctor Strange, or we do get some, like, you don't need to show his face. You just got a guy in a suit that says Richards. Anything like that, I want it to be post-credits. Because I want this to wrap up Wanda and Vision. That's what I want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want if they never show up again in the MCU, I feel content with the story that was told here.
Let me throw you an idea here. What if we do this? Doctor Strange shows up within the first 2 minutes of the episode.
Okay.
And he fights Agatha. White Vision is unveiled. So Wanda and her Vision have to fight White Vision, who is like an agent of Hayward, and maybe it's Ultron. So you have two fights going on. One's a magic fight, which we've established is just two people throwing colorful After Effects at each other. And
it's just two people
doing this and like blasting stuff at each other and just goop shooting everywhere. Like I mean, like that's fine.
Can I
have you ever
trademark
seen
goop shooting?
Goop shooting. Have you ever seen the Harry Potter fights? When they shoot those wands, goop. So I feel like that'd be kind of cool. You get two fights for the price of one, and it's cathartic because Wanda has to like kill Vision again or not. Like, what's gonna happen? You know, and then the implication maybe it's Ultron, and Vision's like, I gotta sacrifice myself again. She's like, no, we've done that too many times. I don't know, like that, and then me being genuinely surprised at the end of the story, which is what I'm hoping for every time I watch one of these things.
I also want to state I'm kind of hoping, and I kind of hope not hoping. She does say no more mutants at the end of this, but since she's currently technically a miracle, she goes, no more miracles. It just ruins the delivery.
Yeah, I think if there ever is going to be a House of M moment, we're going to get that shot, like from the book.
Yeah.
Where it's like that close-up of her mouth and her tears streaming down her face. Like, I think we're going to get that.
They got it, because that is probably how she's going to resolve whatever it is. Like, no more Westview. That I could see. No more Westview, and it's just gone.
Right. Except there's people in there.
Well, no, it'll go back to the way it was. Like, I'm not saying she nukes Westview.
Right, and then she's on the run. I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I'm just like, there's only one episode, and it's only like 40 minutes. Like, because they said 47 minutes, but they're also including credits, and the credits are like half an hour. So
15-second post credits now.
Yeah, right.
You know what I realized with the post credits? I realized they started doing this again when they got to that age in TV shows. When they got to the age where they existed, post credits came back into the show. Just like a fun, subtle nod. Think about it. The first one popped up on the Malcolm in the Middle episode, which is when the first MCU movie started, and they started doing post credits, and then they've kept them ever since. Yeah, I thought it was a fun little like, oh, that's cool. Wish you would have told people.
Right. Yeah, well, I'm glad. Actually, it's the only thing that was ever spoiled for me so far for the show was that there was going to be a mid-credit scene for the first mid-credit scene. And I'm glad I knew that, because after the first two episodes, I'm like, that's enough looking through these credits.
They're too long. They're too long to put them in.
They're too long!
They're literally the credits of a movie on a 23-minute episode. Like,
you can't have your credits be a third of the runtime of the show. By the way, like, I do like the effect. Like, I think it's a pretty ending credit sequence. But, like, I'd take the Mandalorian end credits where it's, like,
the concept art?
It's concept art and stuff, because that's, like, gorgeous.
Yeah, the Mandalorian ones are great. Love those. But, all right, anything else you want to talk about the episode 8?
No, do you have any more theories? Who do you hope shows up at the end if there's going to be any surprises?
I'm hoping for Doctor Strange because it will be a direct connection. That's what I'm hoping for.
Right.
I don't want them to introduce any more characters. I don't want Reed. I don't want Reed Richards mentioned. We got Monica. Cool. You didn't do it the whole episode. Fine. I want James Spader. I want
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. I was gonna call him Alec Baldwin. Don't know why.
Cumberbatch.
Cumberbatch. That's it. Yeah. But I want stuff that's already established to show up at this point. I don't want like the last 5 minutes of like, and here's Reed Richards, and we're all just like, how are you gonna resolve that?
yeah. No, this should like your new character is Monica.
Yeah,
that's the new character to introduce.
And we got the Darcy and James Woo, I think.
But they're already in the but they're already in the show.
Yeah,
like, we already know
more
them.
Established now. Like
they are more established.
They're more
characters
now instead of just being like, that's a fun guy.
Yeah, or like, oh, Darcy's so funny. Her.
He's the parole officer for Ant-Man. Like,
right? Yeah.
Agent Woo, that was it. Yeah. So
Agent Woo, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching this episode of Absolutely Marvel and DC's WandaVision Episode 8 analysis and discussion. I hope we were a little more on point for the people who are complaining that we weren't. We're gonna try. We're trying to make a good channel here. We're trying to make something fun that we can have fun with and you can have fun with and you can join us for the journey. Anyway, please consider subscribing, hitting that like button if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're watching over on Twitch when this is filmed, thank you so much. And don't forget, we also have a sub button out there too. Either way, guys, thank you so much, and we will see you next on the conclusion to WandaVision.
Yeah, the end of the show.
The end of the show.
Sweet.